Well, when you bring somebody into the ethics board, it's a serious thing.
Okay. That's the one part I don't like doing. All right. If everyone could have their seat, please. I just like doing that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone, to the Tuesday, August 5th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting here for the city of Fairburn. I'm now calling this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Can I have a determination of quorum from staff?
Yes, you may. We have Commissioner Parker,
Present.
Commissioner James,
Present.
Chairman Jones,
Present.
Commissioner Williams,
President.
Commissioner Smith,
President.
Commissioner Eccles.
Present.
Have a quorum, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Commissioners, I'm sure that you have had time to read through the briefing packet. Can I get a motion for approval of tonight's meeting agenda?
Commissioner James, motion that we approve tonight's meeting agenda.
I have a motion. Oh,
Pledge of Allegiance.
I missed that. Oh, see, that one thing all right. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Sorry about that. One thing.
Okay.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, staff, for catching that one. Appreciate that. Now, can I have a motion for the approval of tonight's meeting agenda?
Okay, Commissioner James, motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner Parker, second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the meeting agenda for tonight, Tuesday, August 5th, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Next on the list here is the approval of the meeting minutes for our previous meeting, which was Tuesday, July 1st. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Commissioner Parker, make a motion to approve meeting minutes from July 1st, 2025.
Commissioner Smith, second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes from our meeting from July 1st, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Next up, we have public comment. So we have a good crowd here tonight. Thank you all for coming. If you are here to speak on any of the other items 1 through 5, each of those will be separate public hearings. You can save your comments for that. If you want to come up and stand up and talk about any topic as well, or one of those, right? Feel free. We can open that up for public comments. Each person is limited to 3 minutes, but you will have a chance, just to let you know, to speak through all of the public hearing items. Anybody wish to come forward for public comment? Come on, nobody wants to talk about crazy stuff. I'm just kidding. Okay, all right, no public comment at this time. We do not have any old business, so we'll get to the matter of fact, which is the public hearing. Our first public hearing, item number 1, is rear setback primary variance, Peachtree Mechanical. I would like for staff to present their findings, and then we will officially open the public hearing. Staff?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
All right, so we have several variance requests. 2 of the variance requests belong to Peachtree Mechanical, so we will start there. All right, so at 2035 Oakland Industrial Boulevard, we have a variance request from the applicant, Darlene Denny, LLC. This is a request to approve the primary variance, specifically to reduce the rear setback from 50 feet to 30 feet. This is what the site looks like today. It's currently vacant. This is a updated survey they have attached for your review. This is their site plan, their proposed site plan. And they have also included some elevations. All right, we're reviewing variances. We do have to have some considerations, and For the first standard, the purpose of the intent of the M1 district is to provide areas within the city for the manufacture, storage, sale, and distribution of goods and conduction of related commercial and industrial activities. Therefore, if relief is granted, the proposed construction will be in harmony with the general purpose intent of the M1 district. They have satisfied this condition. The property does have extraordinary and exceptional conditions because of its topography, floodplain size, and shape that would create an unnecessary hardship for the owner while causing no detriment to the public. They have satisfied this condition. Staff has reviewed the primary variance and finds that the variance does meet all requirements for granting the variance. If the Planning and Zoning Commission approves the variance request, staff recommends the following condition. Any significant modifications as determined by staff to the proposed site plan in regard to the 50-foot rear setback reduction would necessitate a further review by the Planning and Zoning Commission. I conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, staff. Now I will open up item number 1, rear setback primary variance, which you just discussed. If I could get a motion to open this for a public hearing.
Motion to open public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner Parker, second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to open the public hearing for rear setback primary variance Peachtree Mechanical. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, the public hearing is open. So the way we're going to do this, folks, just to keep us on track, we have to do this for each one of these, right? So you'll hear a lot of different motions. We will have 30 minutes, if needed, at the max, for the applicant would like to come up and present, as well as any of those in favor. Then there will be time for any of those opposed. There will be then time for a rebuttal, and then I will close the public hearing and give the commissioners an opportunity to ask questions. So we are in the public hearing, so at this time, if the applicant would like to come forward and make their presentation, that would be great, and then we'll ask for those that are here in favor to come forward. Thank you. Please just state name, address, and all the good stuff.
Hi, my name is Laura Benz. I'm with Benz Law out of Noonan, Georgia. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Peachtree Mechanical. So as staff explained, there are 2 variances that we're asking for this evening. The first one is the reduction of the buffer in the back. If you have had a chance to look at the packet that we provided, there's a lot of photographs that kind of give you a better orientation of the adjacent properties and let you know of the natural buffer that's behind it. Give you a little bit of background, Peachtree Mechanical has been in existence since about 1983. They were originally actually in Fairburn for quite some time and purchased this property back in 2008 with the idea of building their expansion of their shop and their administrative building. So right now they're located in Fayetteville and they're looking to return, kind of a homecoming to return to Fairburn. Right now, the property is surrounded by similar use businesses such as Amcon Industrial and International Truck and Engine Distribution. The surrounding zonings are M1 and PD. They're all used for similar situated. So if you look at the information that's been provided, there's views of what it looks like to the right, and then if you look at the back of the property, it's all forested. It's approximately 400 feet to the most near residential structure. So we will have extreme natural buffers. There's a large wetland complex as well as Trickham Creek and a large specialized floodplain. There is no access from the residential parcel on the Oakley Industrial Boulevard. So in order for there to be an actual residential use in any close proximity to this particular building in use, they would have to cross that large floodplain, wetland, which is just most likely not going to happen, especially given the cost of everything. Another thing that's really important to note is that this particular piece of property, since it was purchased in 2008, was purchased and coordinated with some plans that were included in my May 5th letter to you prior to the enactment of these particular 2 ordinances. So this client does have vested rights to look at how that property would be developed, how they're being proposed. As staff clearly illustrated, the variance standards that are articulated within your ordinance say that if an applicant does satisfy one of the 3 criteria, that the variance request shall be granted. And so, as they explained, the intent is to make sure that we are provide areas within for storage, sale, and distribution of goods, and the conduct of related commercial and industrial activities. As I said, as well as staff has pointed out and as shown in the materials, we're doing a similar use to everything that is adjacent. So therefore, the request to have the variance would not reflect in anything that was contrary to the public or result in a detriment to the public.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so thank you for the applicant. Is there any of those here in favor or want to speak in favor of this application for rear setback primary variance? I'll take that as it. If you want to, you do not have to, right? If you would like to come up, name, address, and talk, or you can choose not to. It is an open public hearing. You good? Okay. Okay, you're good. Okay. If there's anyone opposed, right? So we have 30 minutes now. We're being very efficient. If anyone here is opposed to the rear setback primary variance for Peachtree Mechanical, please come forward. Okay. There's no rebuttal since there's no opposed there. So with that, because the applicant has spoken, there was no person that wanted to speak in favor or oppose, therefore no rebuttal. I will now take a motion to close the public hearing for item number 1, rear setback primary variance. Do I have a motion?
Commissioner Echols, regarding the rear setback primary variance for Peachtree Mechanical.
Okay, to close the public hearing? Okay.
Close the public hearing, yes.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner Williams, second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Public hearing for item number 1 is closed. Now I will give, should they choose, the commissioners to ask questions of staff or potentially the applicant. Are there any questions from the commissioners?
One question.
And is it to staff or the applicant?
My question is to the applicant.
If you would come forward.
Yeah, just wondering if you could state one more time, because I didn't fully catch, what exactly does this business do? Peachtree Mechanical. What do they?
I was about ready to say, I can give you like what's on the website, but they're probably better suited to give you the details.
And just state your name and address.
Okay, so I'm Richard Denny, president of Peachtree Mechanical.
And your address.
Address is 140, you want the Fairburn address or okay, my residence is
Yeah.
145 Edenton Estates, Fayetteville, Georgia.
Sure.
So, primarily what we'll be doing in this business is mainly administrative. Our business has grown and, I mean, next week will be 44 years old. So, we've had to acquire a lot of staff and, warehousing is primarily what we'll be doing here and administrative business. So we serve the federal government. We build structures for the federal government all over the Southeast, from Virginia as far west as Texas, south as Miami. And a lot of that, is stuff that, we've grown into this business. And so we've had to bring on a lot of staff to kind of manage the federal work. We also do a lot of state work. So we're doing work at Virginia Tech, University of Georgia. And with that, it's going to bring a lot of economical help here in Fairburn too. We'll be hiring a lot of people here in Fairburn as well. So nothing crazy, just we're a mechanical contractor. We were here in Fairburn like, I want to say it was around 92 to about 2001, and our business took a real big hit. So we had to downsize, move to Fayetteville, and so we kind of crawled and we've gotten back up to where we were, and so that's why we want to come back to Fairburn. So that was our good days when we were in Fairburn, so that's why we came back.
Awesome. Any other questions, commissioners? No questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, I will accept any motions for approval or denial of item number 1, rear setback primary variance for Peachtree Mechanical. Commissioners?
Okay. Commissioner James, I motion to approve primary variance for the rear setback for Peachtree Mechanical.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Smith, second.
Okay, I have a motion, a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay. I'm sorry, I said aye.
Sorry, it's okay. All right, we're all ayes right there. Do we need to do it again? Just
I'm sorry, Echols, was your vote nay or aye?
Aye.
aye. Yes, sorry. So that motion passes.
I don't know what.
All right. Now we're going to repeat this, folks, so bear with us, okay? Right? So I'd like to call staff forward again. as before we open the public hearing for item number 2, related to buffer primary variance, Peachtree Mechanical. Staff? It's the way it is.
All right, let's continue. So the second variance request tonight is specifically for Peachtree Mechanical, and that is a buffer reduction from 50 feet to 0 feet. Okay, so this is what the site looks like today. Survey included for your review. Proposed site plan. Elevations. Alrighty, so the purpose and intent of buffers are to protect adjacent or other properties from potential nuisances such as dust, litter, odor, noise, glare, and other unsightly buildings, uses, or parking areas associated with neighboring uses. It's also used to protect the public from unsightly views along public right-of-ways, preserve and enhance the aesthetic qualities, character, privacy, and land values of property within the city. Therefore, if relief is granted, the proposed construction will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of buffers. They have satisfied this condition. The property does have extraordinary and exceptional conditions because of its topography, floodplain, size, and shape that would create an unnecessary hardship for the owner while causing no detriment to the public. They have satisfied this condition. Staff has reviewed the primary variance and finds that the variance does meet all requirements for granting a variance. If the Planning and Zoning Commission approves the variance request, staff recommends the following condition. That is that any significant modifications as determined by staff to proposed site plan and elevations in regard to the buffer, 50-foot buffer reduction, would necessitate further review by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that, staff. Okay. All right, now I would like to entertain any motions to open the public hearing for item number 2, buffer primary variance, Peachtree Mechanical.
Commissioner Echols approved the opening for the buffer primary variance Peachtree Mechanical.
I have a motion to open the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion passes. So we are now in the public hearing. We're going to rinse and repeat. So for the applicant, if you have anything else to add that's specifically related to the buffer primary variance, that would be great. And then we will, again, call those in favor, call those opposed, rebuttal, close, and rinse and repeat. So go for it.
Do you need me to say my name and
Yes.
everything again?
Officially have to
Fine.
do it all. We're
Officially,
sticking
new
to the
hearing,
word.
new thing.
That's
Laura
right.
Benz from Benz Law, 19 West Broad Street, Noonan, Georgia. Once again, here on behalf of Peachtree Mechanical, as staff explained, the request is to reduce a 50-foot buffer to 0. The purpose for the buffer ordinance, as established in section 80-366, is to protect, adjacent or other properties from potential nuisances associated with neighboring uses, protect the public from unsightly views along the public right-of-way, and preserve and enhance aesthetic qualities, character, privacy, and land values of property within Fairburn. Obviously, as has been explained previously, the purpose of this particular project is to operate an office and associated warehouse facility, which is complementary to all the adjacent uses. It's not going to have an adverse impact on aesthetics, as shown in some of the drawings that were provided to y'all, as well as there's photographs within the packet that we presented on pages 3 and page 4 that show you looking, as you kind of look at where the property is and as you move around, what the similarly situated properties are. Once again, it's the same criteria that they explained. We're not going to have an adverse on impact on the detriment to the public. Because if you look at the back part of the property, specifically on page 4, you can see that that large wetland and that floodplain area is going to serve as a natural buffer to all those residential uses. And there's also an example of a property that is in close proximity to this one that shows that Fairburn has in the past issued zero setback. And that's shown right in the middle section of page 4. So As stated before, it satisfies it satisfies 2 of the 3 conditions, whereas the ordinance only requires that we satisfy 1. So we would respectfully request that this variance be approved. Bless you.
Anything else? Okay, awesome. Anybody would like to come up and speak in favor? We still have time left. No? Okay. Anyone opposed? No. Therefore, probably no rebuttal. Thank you, applicant, for the coming up. We had no one speak in favor or oppose, therefore no rebuttal. So at this time, I will accept a motion to close the public hearing related to item number 2, buffer primary variance, Peachtree Mechanical.
Motion to close public hearing for buffer for primary variance for Peachtree Mechanical.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner
Second.
Smith, second.
All right, we're fighting over the seconds. Awesome. All those in favor of closing the public hearing for buffer primary variance Peachtree Mechanical, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. That motion passes. The public hearing is now closed. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant or staff at this time?
I got one question,
And is it for the applicant or the staff?
either one. How many acres of land this property is gonna be setting on? 5 acres? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you for the question, Commissioner. No question? At this time, I will entertain motions as it relates to approval or denial of the buffer primary variance Peachtree Mechanical.
Motion to approve item number 2, buffer primary variance for Peachtree Mechanical.
Commissioner Parker, second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the buffer primary variance related to Peachtree Mechanical. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. That motion passes. All righty, there we go. All right, third item. A lot of paper here. Bear with us. We're going to rinse and repeat a lot tonight. The next item is item number 3, landscaped buffer primary variance related to racetrack. I'd like for staff to present your findings.
Hello again.
Hello.
All right, so the next 3 variance requests will be for the proposed new racetrack. All right, so located on Fairburn Industrial Boulevard, we are considering the request to approve the primary variance, specifically speaking to the reduction of landscape buffer from 35 feet to 10 feet. This is what the site looks like today. Currently woodlands. They have included a survey. This is the proposed site plans if the variances are approved tonight. Included some elevations. This is elevations of the building, elevations for the canopy over the gas pumps, as well as elevations for the trash enclosure, the dumpster enclosure. Alrighty, so we do have to consider some things when reviewing variances. And for the first standard, the purpose and intent of the Georgia Highway 74 Overlay District is to ensure attractive developments which are complementary and will promote a mix of uses rather than the undesirable commercial sprawl which has plagued many communities and threatened the very character that attracted such development interests. Reinforce and implement a land use plan that features residential, office, personal services, hospitality uses, and retail commercial uses along Georgia Highway 74 and protect the aesthetics of the community, provide for safe travel through and access to the area, and safeguard the welfare of its residents while encouraging development along the Georgia Highway 74 corridor. Therefore, if relief is granted, the proposed construction would be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the Georgia Highway 74 overlay zoning district. They have satisfied this condition. This property does have extraordinary and exceptional conditions because of its topography, streams, size, and shape that would create unnecessary hardship for the owner, but causing no detriment to the public. They have satisfied this condition. Staff has reviewed the primary variance and finds that the variance does meet all requirements for granting the variance. If the Planning and Zoning Commission approves the variance request, staff recommends the following condition. Any significant modifications as determined by staff to the proposed plans in regard to the 35-foot landscape buffer reduction would necessitate a further review by the Planning and Zoning Commission. I conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, staff. Appreciate that thorough review. As before, I'll now take a motion to open the public hearing for item number 3, landscape buffer primary variance related to racetrack.
Commissioner James, I motion that we open public hearing for landscaped buffer primary variance racetrack.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Williams, second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of opening the public hearing related to landscape buffer primary variance racetrack, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The public hearing motion has passed. The public hearing now is active. So again, right, I will ask the applicant to come up, and applicant and those in favor have a, total of 30 minutes. Those that are opposed have 30 minutes, and then there's a rebuttal for 10. So applicant, oh, same person, okay, awesome. State your name and address again.
I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad
Yeah,
thing.
sorry.
Hi, my name is Laura Benz, Benz Law, 19 West Broad Street, Newnan, Georgia. I'm here on behalf of Racetrack, as well as we have a lot of folks from Racetrack that also could answer any questions that the commission may have. If you are, this might be a little bit of deja vu. Y'all were seeing this particular site plan came before this board as well as the city council last year. It was approved unanimously to rezone this property. It was a very substantially similar site plan that you see before you. It's approximately a 6,000-foot travel center with 30 parking spaces, gasoline pumps, diesel pumps with 2 lane access points for ingress egress, one on State Route 74 and the other on Howell Avenue. As I said, the City Council unanimously approved the rezoning special use permit on June 10th, 2024. It had, I believe we included that site plan in your packet as well. The racetrack itself proper will only be on about 4.21, little less than 5 acres of the property. It's an irregular sized property. When Howell Avenue was constructed, there was a large roadway stormway detention that's adjacent to that, which causes some challenges, as well as this particular property is bifurcated by 2 streams and wetland complexes. So in the interest of trying to preserve the natural resources and stay out of those areas, that's what's brought us to coming before you asking for the variances that we'll be discussing this evening. For this specific one, just as the staff report said, these are all in for variances for the overlay district. The intent is to ensure attractive developments that are complementary to promoting a mix of uses that protect the aesthetic of the community and provide for the safe travel through and access to the area, safeguard the welfare of residents while encouraging development along Georgia Highway 74. As you can see within the documentation that we provided, there are similarly situated properties all along. It's on page 3 that shows that the proposed variance to reduce the vegetative buffer when coupled with the grass area is very similar to all the other adjacent properties along 74. That reduction in the vegetative buffer is not going to adversely impact any of the safety of the travel through the corridor, access to the area, or welfare to the residents. And so therefore it satisfies the intent and the purpose of the chapter. The second criteria, obviously, as I just explained, this property, as you can see on the page 4, where the wetlands have been delineated, those cause a problem as far as the development of the property. And so there is unique circumstances, given also there is about a 17-foot plus more, give or take, of topographic relief in this property. So that means when they go to do the development, they're going to be required to have structural walls, all these other types of structural construction to stay out of those areas. So they're kind of forced right up to the front, and so that's why these variances are being requested. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll take some time, should anybody want to step up and have any comments during this public hearing that are in favor of specifically the landscape buffer primary variance related to racetrack. Got a mic change? You good over there with the mic change? We good? Okay, just making sure. Okay. And just state your name and address.
My
Absolutely.
name's John Paridi. I'm Director of Real Estate at Racetrack, 200 Galleria Parkway, Suite 900 in Atlanta. I just wanted to say thank you very much for hearing our case tonight. Just wanted to remind the board about Racetrack, and we're love to be a partner with the city of Fairburn. I hope we demonstrated that during our previous public hearings. We're a 90-year-old company. We've been around, for a long time, and love to be a deeper member of this community and have a store here. The investment size of this store is a very large investment of plus $15 million. It will provide great jobs for the local economy, and we like to partner with the local community in these endeavors. We're here to answer any questions you may have about Racetrack and/or technical features. And again, I want to reiterate what Laura had mentioned. The physical constraints of this property and its existing condition have forced us to make modifications to our site plan that have caused these variances. So we hope that we can explain that further if you need to. If not, please feel free to ask any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We are at, what's my time check? How much? Just up on the slide, give me my timer. I think we have plenty of time. All right, 25 minutes, perfect. So anyone else like to speak in favor? And then we will eventually have those opposed, and then we will have a rebuttal, just to remind you, and then we will close it, and then that's when we will ask any questions. But anybody else would like to come up and speak in favor? Okay, thank you. Now we have 30 minutes for those opposed. So if you are opposed to this, please come forward, state your name and address, and the opposition, so to speak, has 30 minutes.
My name is Glenn Valencia. I own 7 buildings over in Fairburn. I'm heavily invested in the area. I love the area. My kids went to Landmark Christian School. I've served on boards over there. I've done a lot of volunteering. I spent a lot of time in there. Just recently bought another building across the street, Building 222, Fairburn Industrial. And my property adjoins the racetrack in 2 different areas. So the first one is the front property, which used to be the printer building. You probably remember it as Printer's Distributor Building. And that's directly adjacent to that property. That's the one that's going to be the most affected by it. There's a lot of different reasons. Can we bring up the drawing that shows, it's more of a color drawing that shows the building, and I think most people can understand that better than the topos and all that.
Do we have that? Nope.
Nope.
Oops, nope. Nope. We'll pause the timer, don't worry. We're looking for the slide.
Yeah, that's not a good one. The one that I'm talking about is actually a color drawing. It shows the green grass and the color of the building and all that.
Yeah, I think you're talking about.
Okay, so I don't know that I'm truly opposed to this, but I've got some questions. So on the left side of the drawing, if you guys can remember what it looks like, that side, it doesn't look like it's going to affect us that much because there's a stream there. They're having to work around that stream. So it looks like the variances are really for the front part of it and the right side on Hal, is that correct?
I'll defer to staff on that question, but do we want to address that now or wait till the end, Valerie? Since we're,
He can go ahead and make his presentation, and then staff will address it.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you can keep talking, that's totally fine.
All right, so if that's the case, it's not going to affect me as much as I think it's going to, but I'm worried about further expansion on that property. If they decide they want to do more, and then they get closer, and then you guys have approved this, and now they can come right up to me. And there's a lot of reasons. I'm worried about the water runoff. I'm worried about access to my property when people are on it, that they're able to come onto my property more easily without the buffer there. There's a lot of pros and cons. My daughter actually did a lot of research on this because we're coming to this late. I didn't get any of the information on this until we received, I think 4 weeks ago, a letter saying that this was going to happen, and we didn't know anything about it. So we're trying to figure out whether we're opposed to it or not, because I would like the same setbacks on my property. And so I see that as a positive thing because some of the property that we have, I could use some more parking. I could use some other things like that that could help us. And if you can make it look right, it's going to be a great thing. But if it doesn't look good, we got to live with this forever. We've got to look at this. And is it going to devalue my property if the setbacks are not in place like the overlay was planned originally? And we all thought that was a good idea, and we stuck with that because, as far as I know, there is not another property that has setbacks right now like this. Is that correct?
I'll defer to staff on that.
Yeah, Denise, I think we talked about that, and we couldn't find another property, right?
No, to the best of staff's knowledge, there is not another
So this will be the,
gas station.
so this will be the first one, and I'm just worried about what it's going to look like. I really need more detail and, for me to get comfortable with it. At this point, is this a done deal? And as far as that goes, are we, I'm up here talking about it and trying to convince you guys to be more thoughtful about it, which you probably have been, but I may be bringing up some things that you haven't thought about. But I think that this, because I'm coming in so late, is this already approved, basically?
Sir, this is a public hearing, so you can provide your presentation, and then the applicant is allowed to provide some additional data.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We might have one more question.
Sure, absolutely, I appreciate that, thank you. And then just state your name and address, that'd be great.
Yes, I'm Kathy Valencia. I live in Peachtree City, 603 Greystone Court. I'm co-owner of the adjoining properties. So what we are requesting is that if the variance is going to be granted, that concessions be made to us, the adjoining property owners, for any type of negative effect that might be a result of this unusual variance being granted. So I think we could probably work with Racetrack, or we could work with the city of Fairburn, but we did not get the notices in a timely way. So last week, we got 3 letters in that told us about this particular event, and the emails were unfortunately sent to Glenn Valencia with 1 N instead of his email at Glenn Valencia with 2 N's. So we are a little bit, in an unfortunate position that I didn't get the letters 4 weeks ago. And I think he's talking about the letters that we got last week that were related to this. So anyway, our request is that this be looked at from the point of view of the adjoining side-by-side neighbor and the backdoor neighbor being us in both situations, so that any type of variance that you do that would require Racetrack to accommodate us in some way if there is a negative impact. There is a stream zone there, so there could be flooding onto our property or mud flow onto our property. And also if the buffer is affecting our driveway, which is right next to their property. So that is our request.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else in opposition? But I appreciate the 2 folks, absolutely. Okay, now we have 10 minutes for those on the favor side to address any of the comments from those that expressed opposition to this. So you may come forward. I won't ask you this time for name and address.
Or
which is
Ben's.
probably-
Just to kind of address Mr. Valencia's comments, that the variances that we're asking for, the one that's in front of the board, right, or pardon me, the commission, right now, is for the setback for the front property. So there's not any variances being asked for the back part of the property. That's all gonna remain. We have the engineer here that can kind of address some of those concerns, and so I'm gonna have him come up to address those concerns.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Nate Fuss. I'm with Bowler Engineering. Our address is 211 Premier Center Parkway, Suite 425, Atlanta, Georgia. As Ms. Benz mentioned, I'm the civil engineer working with Racetrack on this property. To address a couple of his concerns, so the variances, yes, are on the front and the right side, so they're not abutting your property. There's no currently planned development to the planned west side where the driveway is going to be. That's going to be the main grassed area. Stormwater detention, there were some questions on just concerns about that. We provided a prelim. I don't know if y'all were able to take a look at that, but we provided a prelim stormwater analysis plan. We're proposing an underground stormwater basin to detain and treat stormwater flows. What else? No access is going to be on your property. There'll be no cross access. Nobody will be able to get onto your property. There'll still be a vegetative buffer in between your property and the racetrack property. I think that answers the majority of the questions. And then, like Ms. Benz mentioned, we're developing just the area in the front side of the site, so the back side will remain all streams, wetlands, and any future development back in the back would have to come through this board again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. You have time, go for it.
Just to make the commission aware, we had a gentleman from Racetrack that's going out right now to get his computer. Unfortunately, we did not bring the renderings because I wasn't prepared to discuss those, but he has that. And so he'll be able to show you what they look like and everything, so that way he could answer those questions for you.
Okay,
So just let you know that that's what they're addressing at this point.
thank you. Any other folks from a rebuttal perspective? Okay, all right. So we have had the staff, applicant, those in favor, those opposed, and then rebuttal. So we're moving through this here. I would now accept a motion to close the public hearing related to item number 3, landscape buffer primary variance.
Commissioner Echols approved the closing of the public hearing for landscape buffer primary variance racetrack.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second, Commissioner James.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to close the public hearing specifically related to item number 3, landscaped buffer primary variance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. That public hearing is closed. Commissioners, I will now give you total, between all y'all, 10 minutes to ask any further questions of staff or the applicant. Please, no commissioner take more than 5 minutes individually to ask a question. That would be a very long question if it took you 5 minutes. But we have 10 minutes if there are questions from commissioners for staff or the applicant.
Commissioner James, I do have one question.
Is it for staff?
It is for the applicant.
Applicant, okay?
Okay. Aside from the variance questions here, I do have one question in particular regarding, there is a racetrack already on Highway 74. Is there a difference in the racetrack that's proposed here? Or is it same type of gas station, just a second gas station?
Are you talking about the racetrack that's on the other side of
85?
Yes.
Mhm.
So this is a newer prototype, and it's a little bit more modern, more updated, but it's basically the same. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, take your time. Millions are watching. It's totally fine.
All right?
All 10 of them.
Yeah.
All right. So the building is a little slightly larger than the one that we have on the other side of the highway. It's more modern, updated. The inside offerings are more updated. The building is a little bit more modern. As you saw the renderings, it's very close. What we build is extremely close to the renderings that you see in your packet. This store has a separate diesel canopy for commercial drivers. What we have found is, especially when we have on a highway such as Fairburn Industrial, there's a lot of commercial drivers that like to use our facilities. They like to come in, have buy their fuel for the day, come in and have a snack, and it usually plugs up the canopy for the common driver like us that want to get our unleaded gas. So we have designed this separate canopy for the commercial driver that takes the commercial vehicles, especially the ones with trailers, away from the front canopy, so it makes it a little bit more convenient for the unleaded customer and a very good area for the commercial driver to come in and fuel quickly and leave. There is no parking on the site for commercial vehicles. There's plenty of parking for the unleaded customer and the person that wants to come in and buy something, but there is no parking for commercial vehicles on this site, as you can see in the site plan that's in your packet. Okay.
One more question. Will it have charging stations for electric vehicles?
We are working on our entire electrification plan and strategy throughout all of our new stores. I can't say, excuse me, let me ask a gentleman that's here with our engineering group. Do you know if we have? I don't think we do. So our stores we try to design them to be EV ready. So the market is not quite there yet, but we make provisions for the eventuality of having some type of alternative fuel at all of our stores. We want to be the fuel provider of whatever fuel is common of the day. Right now, there's really not a market for that yet in certain circumstances, so we prepare our stores for the eventuality of having it, but there's not immediately going to be one as we open.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question
Is it for the applicant or staff?
for that.
Applicant, okay. Ask the question and they can determine who wants to come up and answer it. How's that?
So, are you guys affiliated with the first racetrack that's there now?
Same company.
Same company?
Same owners.
Same owner of the racetrack that's there now?
Yes, sir. This is all racetrack.
So when you bring the new one in, what will happen to the old one?
We'll stay just the way it is.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
all right, thank you.
Okay.
I was just going to remind everybody that the actual special use permit for the racetrack itself has been approved and was approved by City Council. So we're just here asking for those tweaks on the development.
We're clear.
We're going through the process. We have minutes for, if commissioners don't have any questions, then we're kind of like, sorry about the laptop, maybe, no other questions? Okay, all right.
Hey, I got a question for the
Staff?
position.
Wait, questions are just for staff and the applicant
All right.
at this point, yeah, so, okay. Trying to run this the right way, right? So, okay, no more questions from the commissioners. We thank the applicant, staff, those opposed, those in favor of the rebuttals, right, for their participation in the public hearing. At this point, I will call for any motions from my fellow commissioners related to landscaped buffer primary variance racetrack.
Commissioner Eccles make a motion to approve the landscape buffer primary variance racetrack.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Motion second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, that motion passes. Item number 4. Y'all ready? It's exciting. Item number 4 is front setback primary variance. I would like for staff to come up and present their findings related to specifically front setback primary variance.
All right, and here we go again. So we have before you primary variance request for a new racetrack, proposed new racetrack on Fairburn Industrial Boulevard. This particular variance is for the reduction of the front setback from 50 feet to 35 feet. That's what the site looks like today. Survey has been included. All right, that's the proposed site plan. Elevations of the building. Elevations of the canopy over the gas pumps. Elevation for the trash enclosure. Alrighty, so the purpose and intent of the Georgia Highway 74 Overlay Zone District is to ensure attractive developments which are complementary and will promote a mix of uses rather than the undesirable commercial sprawl, which has plagued many communities and threatened the very character that attracted such development. Interests reinforce and implement a land use plan that features residential, office, personal services, hospitality uses, and retail commercial uses along Georgia Highway 74. To protect the aesthetics of the community, provide for safe travel through and access to the area, and safeguard the welfare of the residents while encouraging development along Georgia Highway 74 corridor. Therefore, if relief is granted, the proposed construction would be in harmony with general purpose and intent of the Georgia Highway 74 Overlay Zoning District. The applicant has satisfied this condition. And this property does have extraordinary and exceptional conditions because of its topography, streams, size, and shape that would create unnecessary hardship for the owner with causing no detriment to the public. The applicant has satisfied this condition as well. Staff has reviewed the primary variance and finds that the variance does meet all requirements for granting a variance. The Planning and Zoning Commission approves the variance request. Staff recommends following condition: any significant modification as determined by staff to proposed plans in regard to the 50-foot front setback reduction will necessitate a further review by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Thank you. I conclude.
Thank you, staff. Appreciate that. And now I will take a motion to open the public hearing for item number 3, landscape buffer, item number 4, front setback primary variance. So I have a motion to open the public hearing.
Commissioner Parker, motion to open the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner Smith, second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of opening the public hearing related to item number 4, front setback primary variance, racetrack, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. We are now opening the public hearing. Let me get settled here. So you now have, again, 30 minutes if you do now want to laptop, show other things, but you have your full 30 minutes here should you want to add any additional information, certainly as it relates to the front setback primary variance, or, I mean, you have the 30 minutes.
I have 30 minutes. Okay, well, my name's Laura Benz. I'm with Benz Law from 19 West Broad Street, Noonan, Georgia. In specific to this particular request, it is for subsection 80-90-E2A. It's a reduction of 50 feet down to 35 along the front Highway 74. As has been thoroughly explained throughout the evening, the development for this particular piece of property has been pushed towards the front to avoid that wetland stream, as well as the stormwater detention area that's adjacent to the Howell from that roadway thing. If you look at our submission, we went ahead and used Google Earth and all of good things to kind of show that there are similarly situated properties that actually have less than 35, which we're proposing, right along 74. So just based on the existence of those things, we would argue that, the reduction to 35 when there are properties that are situated less than 20 could not adversely impact the safety of travel through the corridor, since there are those existing properties that are not damaging the public safety, access to the area, or the welfare of the residents. And as you can see in the drawing, once again, that's why that development and the topographic relief and the structural contains everything is what's making this be a requirement. Do you want to go ahead and show? Yes. And so I will call my colleague up here, Kirk, and he'll introduce himself and show.
And then, do you need help presenting? Does he need to? There we go. Trusting him with his laptop is pretty.
I am Kirk.
Just state your name and address, and then we'll wait for him to get the slides. How's that sound?
That sounds good. I'm Kirk Ellis, Engineering Project Manager for this project with Racetrack, 200 Gallery Parkway, 9th floor, Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, let's see if we can get it up here. pause the clock, just to let you know.
Thank you.
It's totally fine.
So this is a landscape rendering of the entire development and the parcel. I had an opportunity to meet with those in opposition earlier, so they got an opportunity to see that none of our variances are going to actually affect their property. One, it actually sets precedent so that they're able to argue this later if they have concerns for their own property. But in addition, we have taken quite a bit of time to ensure that we've designed the necessary areas to create the buffers from vegetation, pulling our canopy forward to ensure that we have proper circulation, and ensuring that our neighbors are not impacted. We believe that we should be good neighbors, and so we're ensuring that our neighbors are not impacted. And if you look, most of the variances that are, not most, all of the variances that are being asked for tonight are on the opposite side of the property that do not impact our neighbors at all. So we've had an opportunity to show that to them. Hopefully they understand, but the rendering is there for you to also review.
All right, thank you. Nice. Great. Any more people? We still have some time here that want to speak in favor of this particular item. Okay. I will now give 30 minutes to those opposed, or do you want to say something in favor? Okay. Come all the way up to the mic, because we're on live on.
I just wanted to reiterate that the variance they're asking for in this particular variance is for the canopy and not the building. So this 50-foot setback that's being reduced to 35 is for the canopy so that we could push that canopy further so we get proper circulations from the rear of the building.
Okay, thank you. So it's not the actual building itself, it's just
the
canopy. Okay, thank you. Give some time. Yes, please return his laptop. Better check your bank. No, I'm just kidding. Is there anyone that wants to speak, certainly in opposition? I know there's been some side conversations here, but during this public hearing, anybody wants to get up again and speak in opposition? And just for the record, state your name and address again, sir. Sorry.
Glenn Valencia, 201 Fairburn Industrial Boulevard. You don't want my home address, right?
I think, are we okay, Val?
Again,
Okay.
I don't know that I'm truly opposed to this because we haven't had a chance to really dive into it and understand it completely. But I did consult with an attorney on Friday, and he said, go on the record and just say this: whatever variance that gets passed, we're going to apply for also. And people are texting me, so let me see if there's anything else here. Basically, just the concerns of anything that comes onto our property that, I mean, I'm getting a good feeling because they're all here. They want to do the right thing. I think they're going to do the right thing. I know that the girls in my office asked if they could put a walkway up to our building so that they can walk down and have lunch. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any rebuttal for the walk? Anything? You good? Okay, that's fine. All right. So now I will take a motion to close the public hearing related to item number 4, front setback primary variance racetrack.
Motion to close hearing, point number 4, front setback primary variance racetrack.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of closing the public hearing related to front setback primary variance, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. The public hearing is closed for that. We now have 10 minutes for commissioners to ask questions of staff or the applicant as it relates specifically to item number 4, front setback primary variance racetrack. Any questions? No questions? Okay. Now I will accept any motions related to approval or denial of item number 4, front setback primary variance racetrack.
Motion to approve. Front setback variance racetrack.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Smith, second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the front setback primary variance related to racetrack, please say aye.
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 All those opposed? That motion passes. Home stretch, folks, sort of. Okay. Moving on to item number 5, which again will be a public hearing. This is related to perimeter landscape area, primary variance racetrack. I'm going to mess that up, I guarantee you. Staff?
All right, we made it to the last public hearing tonight. All right, so we will be going over the primary variance request from Racetrack Incorporated along their, on their property along Fairburn Industrial Boulevard. This variance specifically speaks to the reduction of the perimeter landscape area from 10 feet to 0 feet. This is the site today. A survey included. The proposed site plan. Elevation for the building, elevations for the canopy over the gas pumps, elevations for the trash dumpster enclosure. Okay, so for the first consideration standard, to provide the reasonable provision of future off-street parking within the city, to restrict temporary storage of vehicles and recreational vehicles in residential districts, to alleviate any unnecessary traffic congestion which could result from the on-street parking, and to encourage development and usage of off-street parking facilities. Therefore, if the relief is granted, the proposed construction would be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the off-street parking, loading, and landscape requirements. The applicant has satisfied this condition. As we went over before, this property does have extraordinary and exceptional conditions because of its topography, stream, size, and shape that would create a necessary hardship for the owner while causing no detriment to the public. This condition has been satisfied by the applicant. Staff has reviewed the primary variance and finds that the variance does meet all requirements for granting a variance. The plan is on the commission and approves the variance request. Staff recommends the following condition. Any certificate modifications determined by staff to proposed plans in regard to the 10-foot perimeter landscape area reduction will necessitate a further review by the planning and zoning commission. I conclude. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I will now take a motion to open the public hearing related to perimeter landscape area primary variance for racetrack.
Motion to open public hearing for perimeter landscape area primary variance racetrack.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of opening our public hearing, number 5, perimeter landscape area primary variance racetrack, say aye.
Aye.
All right, any of those opposed, say nay. Public hearing is now open. So applicant, the timer, 30 minutes. I won't make you state your name and address again, but anything related to the perimeter landscape area primary variance.
Laura Benz, I have to say it. Laura
You do have to
Benz.
say it. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I have to say it
Sorry,
because it's a
Valerie.
new hearing. It's okay. We were on the same page. I was going to say it anyway. Laura Benz, Law, 19 West Broad Street, Noonan, Georgia. So going back, the request that we're having, the request for a variance is under section 80-336B2. It's a reduction of the 10-scape landscape strip along Howell Avenue to 0. If you look in the packet of information that we provided, there are several photographs that show you similarly situated properties along Howell Avenue, as well as on page 4, which is the last page of the information that I provided. It shows that specific stormwater detention area that really causes that problem. I mean, it takes up a lot of area. You could see it more clearly as far as that, what was shown in the big green buffer area on the schematic, or pardon me, the rendering that Mr. Ellis put up just a little bit ago. So as I've stated previously, as you can show in the photographs, that the majority of the Howell Avenue adjacent developments do not have vegetative buffers or anything of substantial nature. Therefore, we would argue that it cannot constitute a detriment to the public safety of travel or the access of the area or the welfare of the residents. And going back again to just the restraints that this particular piece of property has, you're pushed all to the edges by the street to avoid the streams and the wetlands and all of those flood type areas.
Thank you. Any other folks want to speak in favor of the perimeter landscape area primary variance? Any more comments from those opposed? Do you want to speak? All right, come on up, speak now. Let's go.
I'd like to.
Sure.
Trust them with it again.
And please do state your name and address, otherwise I will get in trouble.
Kirk Ellis, Engineering Project Manager for Racetrack 200 Galleria Parkway, 9th floor, Atlanta, Georgia. Oh, just gonna wait for that to go.
Sure, thank you.
The only area that we're requesting this for and why we're requesting this, if you look, there are 4 parking spaces that encroach on that area, and that is so that we meet the parking requirements for the site. Because we are pushing the canopy forward, because of the extraneous circumstances we have with access and egress from the site, and to meet those parking requirements, to ensure that we don't encroach on any of the other areas requiring variances or the landscape areas or the additional buffers to the neighboring property. We've gone through extensive design, and that's the best fitting area that satisfies all the requirements. And by having that there, we meet all the parking requirements and cover all the other requirements as far as variances are concerned for the property. So it doesn't have any negative impact to the community or the street access, egress, or anything like that. It simply steps into that, encroaches in that area for us to provide the additional parking as required. And it's only those 4 spots that's identified right there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. There we go. Any more comments from those in favor? Want to make sure, in case there's a last person wants. Everybody good? Okay. Any comments from those opposed related to this one? All right. No rebuttal. So therefore, I will now take a motion to close the public hearing related to perimeter landscape area primary variance racetrack.
Commissioner Parker make a motion to close perimeter landscape area from 10 to 0.
Okay. I have a motion to close this public hearing. Do I have a second to close this hearing?
Second to close.
Commissioner Williams has a second. All those in favor of closing the public hearing aspect of perimeter landscape area primary variance racetrack signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. That public hearing is closed. We'll now open it up for questions for staff or applicant related to this. Commissioners, no questions? Okay, no questions from commissioners, that's fine. We have 10 minutes. All right. You have a question?
One question.
For staff or applicant?
Or applicant.
Okay.
Just wondering, those areas that contain the streams and wetlands, are those areas that can never be developed? Are they protected? Or is this that you're just choosing to not to do what will be required to build there?
Nate Fuss, Bowler Engineering, 211 Perimeter Center Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia. It's not that they can't be developed, because we will be crossing over the stream and repiping one of them. It's just very difficult and to develop and fill over wetlands and stream buffers. You want to try and keep them, in their natural state as much as possible. So, in all of these buffer variances, the buffer variances for the stream impacts will also go through the Board of Appeals, as well as state buffer variance requirements as well. So it's just a process. It's not that it can't, it just has to go through the Board of Appeals, through the state, through the Army Corps, and it's a long process. You have to buy credits as well for any wetland impacts, and we will follow all of those state requirements.
Thank you.
I want to just add something as far as all those permits are going to be obtained, but for any,
Microphone,
sorry, Laura Benz. All those permits are going to be obtained, but they do require compensatory mitigation. So for any impacts, what they call fill under Section 404 of the Clean Water Act, you have to go ahead and get a permit through the Army Corps of Engineers. The amount of impacts will determine the type of permit. If it's anything substantial, you have to do an alternatives analysis and prove that you have chosen the least environmentally damaging practicable alternative capable of meeting the project purpose. And so, sorry, I've said it a lot, so, but you have to do all of those things, so it becomes very difficult to get those done. And just here in the Chattahoochee Basin, for you to impact an acre of wetlands usually costs you about $1 million in compensatory mitigation. And right now, for a foot of stream, it's about $2,200. So there are definite financial implications that let a lot of those areas be protected.
Thank you.
Great question, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant or staff? Okay, I will now entertain any motions to approve or deny item number 5, perimeter landscape area primary variance racetrack.
Motion to approve perimeter landscape area primary variance racetrack.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner Smith, second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving perimeter landscape area primary variance for racetrack signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. That's pretty good. 5 public hearings. Okay, thank you all very much. No one wants to stay for the, wait. Oh, the exciting stuff is coming. What are you talking about? Right, exactly. Thank you. We appreciate you all coming and taking part in civil discord. Thank you. Okay, we're not done, commissioners and staff, even though they are. Let's move this right along. We have some new business. This is the final plat for Chick-fil-A. We're giving free Chick-fil-A to those that stayed, right? No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Nope, you already left. But yes, staff, please present the final plat, new Chick-fil-A, as part of new business.
Alrighty, commissioners, I hope you got a little bit more juice left in your P&Z battery pack, because there's some exciting stuff after I get done. So before that, we will be going over Chick-fil-A, the final plat. So the new Chick-fil-A is located at 8032 Sonoya Road. This is a request to approve the final plat. This is what the site looks like today after development. Some more pictures for your review. This is an exhibit of the utility easement that was required on the final plat. And this is the as-built final plat itself. Okay, so staff has reviewed the final plat and finds that the plat conforms with the zoning code. Recommend for approval. And with the condition that any significant modifications as determined by staff to the approved final plat would necessitate a further review by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Conclude, thank you.
So we're open it for questions. I have a question, just to make sure I haven't been there. They have their COE, they are certificate of occupation, they are operating, and we are just now approving the final plat, but they are open for business.
That is correct. A CO has been issued, a business license has been issued, and they are open for business.
Okay. Any questions for staff related to this? Nope. Okay, I'll now entertain any motions related to final plat, new Chick-fil-A, to approve or deny.
Motion to approve final plat for Chick-fil-A?
I have a,
Second.
I have a motion, sorry to cut you off, Commissioner. A motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the final plat, new Chick-fil-A, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. That is approved. And now, item number 2 of new business, review or request to discuss and review the lengthy Fairburn Comprehensive Plan update, which I did put in AI to recap for me. So.
Good evening. We're going to start with page 1. It's only 300 pages left. I'm kidding. We will not put you through all of that. We have a very great presentation, high level, very executive information. All of the information has been sent to you. If you would like to look at the entire plan, I strongly encourage you all to do so if you have comments, concerns, that kind of thing. But we have a great consulting team that is here and ready to provide you with a presentation. So I will move away.
Any can adjust the mic and then state your
I'm
name
a
and
little
address.
short, so we're gonna adjust that a little bit. All right, well, good evening, Commission. My name's Allison Senyard. I'm with the consultant team TSW. I've, my specific role with the project's been the project manager, kind of managing the day-to-day, working with the city on developing this comprehensive plan. What was that? Nobody stayed for this. I know comprehensive plans are not always the most exciting or sexiest thing.
This is what I was
but
wanting to see.
I know, I get excited about this, but anyway. But I'll go over quickly the objectives for my presentation tonight. But number one, give everyone an update on the planning process, present the high points of the plan that I think will be most interesting to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Maybe get a little preliminary feedback, although you all do have a copy of the plan, so you are welcome to forward any feedback after tonight to me or to Denise. And then also inform me just where we are in the adoption process. So just to refresh your memory of our scope. What we've been doing for the past, since February, so let me do some math, so 6 months. We've been taking inventory of what the city has accomplished over the last 4 years, since 2021, when the last plan was updated. Update the city's future land use strategy. We did an audit of the zoning ordinance and made recommendations to make it align better with the comprehensive plan and the recommendations, which I'll be focusing a little bit more on shortly. Also, very important, the city has done a lot of great planning work over the past 4 years, so we have been updating the plan to reflect the results of those recent planning studies and to make sure that the comprehensive plan just takes everything and just make sure that we are taking everything into consideration. Very boring, but we did have to create a work program in accordance with the DCA's rules for comprehensive planning, so we do have a work program and an action plan that is kind of lists out all the actions that will be needed to implement the plan. But most importantly, the biggest part of our scope was to get input from the community on what they want to see for Fairburn's future. So we have been interacting, I would say probably at least monthly with this community, learning about what the wants, the needs, the opportunities are, and making sure that we are incorporating it where it makes sense in the plan. All right, so real quick update where we are on the process. So as you can see, we've been working since February. We've moved through various phases, research and analysis, plan development. Right now, we're smack dab in the middle of what we call review and refine, where we've developed the plan, we wrote the plan. Now we're in this process where we are making sure, that we just got it right, that there's nothing else that we need to address. So we'll be going through that until September, and then in October, our goal is to adopt at the, I think it's the October 27th City Council meeting. I have a little bit more about the adoption process later. Real quick, just want to brief y'all on the community engagement that we've been doing throughout the year. So we started in February with a kickoff meeting. We had 93 people cram into this room here. That was really fun. It got very hot, very fast. But we had a lot of fun with the community, got a really good sense of what we felt were the key needs and the opportunities were, and really got a look at where the city was, where people thought, like, how the city's doing as far as managing its land and its growth and the transportation network, economic development, all kinds of things. Moving into April in the spring, we did a visioning workshop. We had over 60 people come. That was so much fun. We had a number of activities we walked people through. I think the most fun was we had our foam core boards and the map of the city, and people had these maps on skewers, and they could just like have a little therapy, stick them in. But that was really important because that did show us what kinds of development people wanted to see in different areas of Fairburn, and it really did paint a very clear picture for us. We came to the Third Friday event in May. Didn't have a ton of people come to talk to us. I get it. Comprehensive planning is not the most fun or interesting topic to non-planners. But we did, a number of folks did come by and talk to us. And it did, what results we got from the activities we had did give us some consensus. At least it just reinforced that, okay, we are moving in the right direction. And we had a lot of really great conversations with folks. And then in June, we concluded this phase of the public engagement process with a draft plan open house. We did have some rain that day, so we didn't have quite as many folks as we expected come through. But again, what that kind of showed us was we were on the right track. Got a lot of great comments from folks who did come by and look at the plan, and we made a point to include all of the relevant feedback into the revised plan. So just to break it down, how this process went. We had estimated that we had over 150 unique participants throughout the community come to our meetings. We had 1,300 hits to our website, and that's not just like, oh, we had 1,300 hits. Like, we had 1,300 visitors to our website, which is pretty great. So that at least that's 1,300 eyes that at least got to interact with the project in some way. Our surveys, we had an online survey that was out. We had 141 completed surveys. We were not too thrilled with this number. However, again, we didn't really learn anything new reading those surveys. So I guess, again, that's not bad news. At least to us, it meant, okay, we have a really good understanding of this community. And I think my favorite statistic is that we generated 1,098 total comments throughout the process. So 1,000 unique comments that we read, we looked at, we talked about with the city. We talked about internally as a consultant team and included in the plan. All right, I'm gonna talk a little bit about just kind of what drove our recommendations. So I'm gonna try to hit through these pretty quickly. So we identified 6 key needs and opportunities that our plan does little mini deep dives on. These were the things that we felt like, as we got to know Fairburn, these are the needs, these are the opportunities that are really affecting the city today in 2025. So the first one being that downtown Fairburn and the areas around it, to us, are the clear locations for directing new residential growth. In our opinion, downtown really does have the best infrastructure to accommodate this type of growth. And a higher density of residents is going to be needed in order to support all of the growth and all the development that this community wants to see in its downtown. It's not just about getting a couple new restaurants. You gotta have a critical mass of residents who can support those businesses. Ideally, you would want to put new residential development within walking distance of Broad Street and some of those surrounding streets. So again, those businesses can succeed. Oh, I got a little too quick with that. But the second one being that the State Route 74 Sonoy Road corridor definitely needs a redirect. So we know there's since 2010, there's been a lot of growth, a lot of activity coming to that area, which is great for the city. It's been awesome. But if you really take a look at it, it just feels very much like an Anywhere USA type of place. And it has potential to be maybe a little bit more than that. So one thing that has come through this for us is, a clear vision is needed in order to better leverage this development interest and to really and it's not too late, right, for Fairburn to really try to get the tools in place to make it a really cool place. All right, third, I think this one was a bit of a hot button issue as we talked to folks throughout the last 6 months, but industrial uses. So yeah, industrial uses, they can be problematic in their impacts, but unfortunately they are here to stay and they are very important to Fairburn's economy. And what's great is actually your community really does understand that. A lot of folks have said, we hate the impacts that we are getting from the industrial developments around us, but hey, we love that it's bringing all this money in. We know that, we love it, it's awesome. But even if we kind of did have to have these hard conversations with folks where, hey, look, even if the city said, hey, no more industrial development, we're done, the thing is the areas around you are still going to continue to develop industrial development. So those impacts are going to be felt no matter what you do. So at this point, it's like, well, now we need to find a way to make industry and all these other uses, live kind of beside each other harmoniously. So it's a hard conversation, it's a hard sell, but as we started to write this plan, that was something we kept at the forefront of our minds. Number 4, there's a keen desire to protect remaining rural and agricultural character, particularly in the Southwest. So before I kind of dive more into that, I feel like we have to take another step back and really examine, the development situation in Fairburn. Fairburn's running out of large tracts of developable land. So as time goes on and you're looking for new development, it's going to probably have to come in the form of redevelopment. What I'll probably talk about later in this presentation, but one thing we were looking at too is, we know that Fairburn's growing, we know there's all these opportunities, but when we look at the whole city, there are just some areas of the city that are just not going to be able to develop, and we don't necessarily want them to develop because they don't have the infrastructure to support it. There is no plan to put infrastructure in those areas, so we don't want to create a plan that's going to put growth in an area that just can't support it and further exacerbate all of these issues that we've been hearing over the past 6 months. So this kind of applies particularly in the southwestern part of the city, like along Galat Road, Johnson Road, those areas. We heard very loud and clear from people that we want to preserve that rural character as much as possible. And if you want to be able to preserve that, as far as, planners, one thing we say is, if you want to preserve that, that's awesome, we want that. However, that means you have to make sure that we write a plan that directs residential development and other types of development elsewhere. So it means getting a little more density in some areas while we make sure that we keep this one area less dense. But again, still, I don't want to say outlawing all development, but still promoting some type of development that's just in the character of that area.
Remember, we're just procedural. Can we ask questions during this open discussion, or do you mean?
Yeah, if you have any clarifying questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I know we're all, I would just, a question on that, the rural piece, right, is, and so that's on the southwest side. So that the feedback from the people that own those rural tracts of lands is, we like the rural aspect. My assumption is they like that till a developer wants to pay them $10 million for their land, and then they're very pro-development. Is that kind of the behind-the-scenes sense?
No, actually, really no.
Okay.
I think a lot of them, they're very committed to that area. They love, now, I mean, of course, they know if they sell their land one day, they can't control what happens next. They're clear on that. We did have to make sure we had that conversation too. But they wanted to make sure that while they're still living here, that make sure that we just are not going to get like these tiny postage stamp lot properties all over the place. That's what they were trying to avoid. Because also they also don't have the infrastructure to support it. They don't have the roads, they don't have the sewer, they don't have that. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. We want to make sure that when we keep that character, but also keep in mind, they just don't have infrastructure to support really much else. But they're still open to some development. The sense we got was context sensitive. So as long as it's, keeping with the rural character, it's larger lot development, it's nothing that's going to overwhelm their roads and their infrastructure, they're happy with it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. No, that's a good question. All right, sorry, I had my notes right here. So the last two needs and opportunities I'll go through before I continue to dive in. So roadway congestion, we live in Metro Atlanta. That's just something no matter where you live, we are dealing with. But we understand that in Fairburn, it is a specifically challenge because there are limited alternatives to driving, and there is some growing concerns about safety. A lot of areas were pointed out to us like, hey, these are just not safe places. If you do walk, these are not safe places to walk. These are not safe places to cross. We've got to do something about it. I'll throw the truck traffic coming through neighborhoods was a huge concern. So, again, like most communities in this region, Fairburn is also suffering from bottlenecks. So although the city does have limited control about regional traffic, there are opportunities to improve local issues. And there is an opportunity to expand travel options, improve that local connectivity, address safety concerns through a number of interventions. And then lastly, and I think this is kind of the most exciting one, this is a community that wants to be involved. My very first interaction with this community was back in January. It was the last city council meeting of January. That one was a huge one. I think that meeting went to like 1 a.m. I was at that meeting. I did not stay till 1 a.m. But what was clear to me that evening was, wow, this community really does care. They really care about what happens, and they are so eager for a place at this table. So we want to make sure that moving forward, that there is a clear commitment to transparent communications and dialogue as the city continues to move forward. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about the goals that we developed for this plan, but I'm happy to answer any clarifying questions or any other questions. Okay. All right, so through the process, not just, through our lots of analysis of existing plans and data and conditions, so through that, but also these conversations we have with the community, these three themes just became very clear to us. And so we developed a series of challenge statements that for us, as the consultants, like anytime we made a recommendation, it's like, all right, put it up against that challenge statement. Does it fulfill that? Does it somehow, I don't want to say make it better, but does it do something about it? So that was that was our first pass at anything we came up with. We compared it to this. If it met, great. If it didn't, okay, toss it. It's just, this isn't going to work for Fairburn. But these challenge statements are about balanced growth, connectivity and accessibility, and quality of life. And we developed a number of community goals under each of these challenge statements that kind of just go a little bit further, but give that level of aspiration of what Fairburn wants to be in the future. In the interest of time, I'm not going to read through these. I'm not going to read through the goals either, but I will highlight the main points. So for balanced growth, we're looking at energizing downtown, directing as much growth as we can possibly accommodate there that is reasonable. Let's do it. Let's make sure that downtown Fairburn is like the best downtown in Metro Atlanta. Like, you guys have the ability to do that, and I think it's really exciting, and we want to make sure that this plan is able to do that. Building a better Sonoy road, so really speaking to that second opportunity that I mentioned, respecting rural character, targeting strategic industrial growth, promoting infill, so we can support neighborhood vibrancy where there is the infrastructure to support it. Again, particularly in those areas around downtown, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Thinking about connectivity and accessibility, this is very transportation heavy, but you know, again, this is something that's really a big concern to a lot of Fairburn residents and stakeholders. So we have goals that are related to minimizing the impacts of truck traffic, improving traffic flow, investing in walkability, expanding mode options when and where possible, and improving access to downtown. Because again, we can build downtown, but it's only as good as if you can access it, right? It's only as good as its access. And then with quality of life, this was a huge theme that just kept coming up again and again. So we developed these goals about diversifying housing options, supporting education, embracing a sense of place and community, protecting the environment and the green space. That was another really big topic that kept coming up throughout this process. And again, communication, building trust and committing to transparent communications. All right, so let me talk about the most exciting part, and that's the updated future land use strategy. So right here, I'm showing the 2021 map. This is what you guys have been using since this plan was adopted in 2021.
Let me ask Denise just a real quick. This is one that's always just bugged me. That little gray spot in the middle, that is the city of South Fulton, right?
Yes.
They have that because that is the
Yes.
weirdest city.
It is so weird.
Okay,
I
all right.
agree.
So because all the color stuff, Fairburn, and then there's that right to the right of the reddish, is that they own that essentially.
That's South Fulton.
Not only, but it is in their limits.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it is in the limits of the city of South Fulton, even though visually it should be ours.
Yes.
We're taking it back. I'm just kidding. Okay, keep
Oh,
going.
you would not be
sorry.
the first person who has said that.
Right. Okay.
I didn't want to say anything, but I'm glad you did. But anyway, this is what you have been working with since 2021. And this is the proposed map that we have now. So there have been some changes, and I'm going to go through those shortly. But before I do that, I do want to just talk about a little bit how we got here, right? So in our conversations with the council, with the planning commission, with our anyone who's really involved in these conversations, we talked about what is working about your strategy. We talked about what is not working with the strategy, because we want to make sure we want to make sure that we're improving on the things that aren't working, but still keeping the things that do work. So that's what we try to do as much as possible. Set out to improve, but not overhaul. Let's keep all the things that work, and let's get rid of the things that don't. We also made a point to refer to previous plans for insight. So one in particular being the Parks and Recreation Master Plan that y'all did last year, 2 years ago. They listed out all of these areas in the city that they want to build a new park. So we made sure that we said, okay, we earmarked those properties. Those are going to be parks. We're going to make sure that our future land use strategy makes that very clear. We also looked at the two LCIs that you've done since 2021 and used those really to help make some decisions about the downtown area. We also looked at how much growth each area of the city could, and I say reasonably, accommodate. Because when we talked with our steering committee, they were very clear. They're like, look, we want as much growth as we can handle. However, we don't want to go like balls to the wall. Like we want to keep this like reined in and tightened, but they were very open to, again, as much growth as we could reasonably accommodate. That was kind of the message that we got. So we looked at every area of the city that we felt was growing the most or had potential to grow the most, and just asked ourselves, hey, how based on what we know about that area, how much land is available, the infrastructure that is there, that is planning on going there, what can we do here? And then, again, having these discussions with our steering committee, which we had Planning and Zoning Commission representation, which was great. It was great being able to have those folks in the room too, to kind of be able to speak to just some of that level of information and that level of detail that would be needed from this group. We also, again, going back to community engagement, but we looked at feedback received at that visioning workshop that we did back in April, where people were sticking flags on a map of the city. We really made a point to refer to that as much as possible. And then after the draft plan open house, looking at the comments we received from the community and just integrating it where it made sense to integrate it. And of course, as always, incorporating planning best practices. So there were a few things that we would look at the strategy and say, hey, like that's not working, or hey, that's something we don't really, as planners, we don't really like to see. We know that there are problems. So we try to like do that as much as possible. But again, number one thing, we set out to improve, not to overhaul. Okay, so as you look in the comprehensive plan, what we've done is for every in the future development strategy, for every designation, we have a spread. So you have a map of where in the city that is located. You also have a description, some policy, we call them policy considerations, but just some things to keep in mind if someone is trying to rezone a property or a new development is coming in. Like, these are some things y'all should keep in mind as you're deciding if this is going to be appropriate for that area. We've also included some character images just to give you a sense of just what we think is the best. I wouldn't say the best, but like just examples of like the character, the intensity that you might be looking at here, and most importantly, the zoning guidance, which talks about some of the more common appropriate development types you might see for that area, intensity, density. So for those that are more residential, we made a point to spell out what the residential density is like per units per acre. If this is like a more commercial or industrial designation, then we looked at like stories. And also the appropriate zoning district. So this was actually one part of the plan that from your last plan, that we didn't touch too much. We kind of really said, okay, well, it looks like the zoning, for the ones that we were just making adjustments to, we really try to keep as much of the existing zoning you had in there as possible, because for two reasons. One, in most cases it was working, so it does what it's supposed to do, but also we understand there's probably going to be a need for the city to rewrite its zoning at some point or do a big overhaul, so we don't want to do anything too crazy right now. We'll wait until that process happens, when it happens, for the city to go back and make those big changes. All right, so we'll talk about what's changed. So you had a designation called Town Center Mixed Use. It was huge. Like, this thing was massive. And while we felt the intent was really good, we kind of were looking at, like, what does this mean for the area? And we realized, like, not all of those areas really can support that type of mixed-use development. It's a great idea. It's just not going to be feasible. So what we did was we separate into two designations. So we have the downtown core, which hugs Broad Street and some of the side streets, and taking the rest of it and calling it central neighborhoods. And this is an area that would be more infill focused, residential infill focused, because especially if you look south of Broad Street, there's a lot of really beautiful historic homes and just a lot of really cool things. And we want to make sure that what's coming in is reflective of that character. And we want to make sure we're getting the density that is needed to support that downtown. And we think there's a lot of really great opportunities in that area to do so. Another thing that's changed, rural residential was a little more widely dispersed throughout the city. What we've done is we've just confined it now south of 85 and those areas I mentioned earlier. And the reason for that is the remaining, not all of the remaining, but a good number of the remaining ones, I guess, the north end of the city and some on the south of 85, we have reclassified those as low density residential, mainly because a lot of them are already like platted, they're developed, and they have a character that's not exactly rural. Like, I wouldn't call it rural. It's low density. Like, so we made a point to like go visit some of those areas too, just to ground truth and make sure we weren't just like making something up as we went. We were like, okay, no, these don't feel rural. They do feel a little bit more low density residential, and you don't really have a lot of property there that is going to be like going to be developed, really. I mean, most of those areas are platted in subdivisions and neighborhoods, and so there's not a lot of land left in those areas really to develop. But if it is going to develop, we do recommend keep it low density residential, just so it's more in matching in what is surrounding it. Green space. So this includes. So this is kind of a double-edged sword, because this specifically includes the areas that have been recommended for new parks and recreation through the master plan y'all did, and also it does include a couple areas that we don't think are likely to experience significant development because of its ecology. However, one thing we did here throughout the process was this need for, we want to make sure to incorporate green space throughout all of Fairburn, not just these areas. So this might just need to have a name change, but I just want to make clear too that every designation that we have in this plan does allow conservation, green space, parks and recreation. We just wanted to make a point to call out those areas that have already been earmarked for a new park or some type of conservation, as well as those parks that are existing today. So I just want to make that point clear because the whole plan, I think just about every single designation says conservation or parks and recreation as an appropriate development type. We have a new designation. Actually, we have a number of new designations, but one of them is called the Warehouse District. This is one we talked about with our steering committee and they got very excited about, which made me happy because I thought this was a really cool idea. But this includes that area between this really, I don't want to call it awkward, but it's kind of awkward. It's this awkward area between downtown and some of those adjacent light industrial areas. We kept looking at this triangle thing. We just don't know what to do with it. Like, it's got some character that could be industrial, but it has potential to do something a little bit cooler. So this is what we talked with our steering committee. This is what we came up with. But what this would do is promote adaptive reuse of warehouses into commercial and residential uses.
Is this where the brewery is, just for visually?
I think so,
Okay,
yes,
that's what
yes.
I thought. That's what, it makes sense. That's why when you said warehouse district, I'm like, I know exactly where, okay, thank
One of
you.
the examples we used was Avondale Estates with their, what they call it, the rail, I live there, I should know, the Rail Arts District that they have. They have all these breweries and adaptive reuse. This was our example. We're like, this is exactly what that part of Avondale Estates looked like about 10 years ago. So we thought, well, Fairburn has potential to do the same thing. It's kind of cool if and there's a lot of cities in the U.S. that have done the same things. And it's always comes rooted in this, like, you have this weird awkward area that it feels industrial, but it has potential to be more. So yes, so we have this new designation and we have information in the plan about kind of what this means. A couple more changes. We eliminated 2 of your designations, office and neighborhood commercial. And the reason we eliminated offices was because you already had an office industrial use, which we renamed to light industrial, but also office can kind of be incorporated in a lot of these different designations too. So it just felt kind of weird to have one standalone, and it only applied to like 3 parcels. So we're like, nope, just get rid of it. It's not gonna work. And then the neighborhood commercial designation, it was just in one spot, and I believe that area has since been, it's like the Vickers property. I think it's since been rezoned, and I think there's new plans in place. So that was more just a reflection of, okay, we know there's a different use now envisioned for that area, so we want to make sure this plan takes that into consideration. And then we did rename a couple of your designations, but really the intent is about the same. All right, all that said, meet your new future development strategy. So I'll kick it off with our zoning compatibility table. So this just shows, like, here's all the zoning districts in the city that you have in your zoning ordinance. Here's all the future development categories. This is like a cheat sheet, not only for the Planning Commission and the City Council and the staff, but also anyone who's looking to build in Fairburn and develop. This is like the little cheat sheet of, can I build this? If not, then what? I'm going to go through these really quickly since you do have these in front of you, but this is just taking the document that we have and just kind of showing you a little bit more of a closer view of what we have. So green space, again, conservation, parks and recreation, all zoning districts would apply here. Some of the typical character and intensity, they're parks, they're green space, they're conservation. Rural neighborhoods, so again, appropriate development types. You're looking at more large lot, single family detached houses, conservation subdivisions. One thing the community said they wanted, which was kind of surprising, but then once I thought about it, not so much, but small retail. They were like, we do want to have some areas around, like somewhere like we can shop and like get things, because instead of having to go all the way out to like other parts of the city or our neighbors and have to spend money here, like we want to spend money in Fairburn. So they did ask for us to include small retail as a potential development type. And then, up to 1 dwelling unit per acre, which is, I think, in line with what the previous comprehensive plan has, or with your current comprehensive plan has. Low density neighborhoods. So again, like I said earlier, there's not a lot of land you have that's vacant and in this area. But when you do, this is kind of what we want to see. Medium to large lot, single family detached houses. They can be in subdivisions. Maybe they're standalone. Small retail is another, it would be okay here too, and also accessory dwelling units. up to 3 dwelling units per acre, which is in line with what you have right now. Suburban neighborhoods, we did do a little bit of zhuzhing on this one. I believe we think we clarified the intensity is 4 to 8 dwelling units per acre. So I think it's a little more than what you have now. But if you look at other areas if you look at areas in the city that have that density, this does kind of track. But you're looking at small to medium lot, single family detached houses, mostly in subdivisions. But we've also added cottage courts as a potential development type, and accessory dwelling units as well. And like low density neighborhoods, you don't have a lot of land left in Fairburn that is vacant and has this designation. But again, we're trying to make sure that if and when those develop, that they have good guidelines. Central neighborhoods, so this is kind of that new one. So we're looking at small lot, single family detached houses, probably not in a subdivision, although I'm sure that would be totally fine. We're looking at more house scale things. So if you're gonna have multifamily, a house scale is probably most appropriate. So think duplexes, fourplexes, sixplexes. There's a lot of great examples around Metro Atlanta that have that. We're also looking at converted office and retail. So think single family home that's now a restaurant or a cafe or a store or an office, that kind of thing. And also accessory dwelling units. I also want to call attention to the density. We have 6 to 18 dwelling units an acre, which I know sounds like 18 does sound a little scary, but we do want to make sure that, we do recognize there are going to be areas that can accommodate, but we understand too that most of the density that this area can accommodate will probably be on the lower side of that. But again, we want to make sure if there is a development that can get that level of density, we want to make sure that we have something that can allow for that. And then looking at your downtown core, we took a lot of the language straight from the previous 2 LCIs that have been done. So again, not to repeat their efforts, but to add to them as well. But here you're looking at some occasional small lot, single family detached houses, although you're probably more likely to see townhomes, house scale multiplexes, some multifamily. Most likely that multifamily be in vertical mixed use up to 4 stories. Small retail, office, maybe some large retail centers with a grocery anchor. We know grocery is something that this city is really wanting to get more of. Looking at a 12 to 36 dwelling units per acre density, but again, you're probably going to be on the lower side of that just because there's not a ton of land to develop. A lot of this new development will be in the form of redevelopment.
And that's Broad Street
yes.
from 138 to roughly the senior center?
Towards beyond the senior center, so over at Fairburn Industrial.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, to the senior center.
Basically, okay.
I think like that large parcel is the cemetery.
Okay, yeah, as I figured. Okay, thank you.
Here's some character images for you. The warehouse district, so this is that really cool, fun one. So this one would have some ability to support parks and recreation, small scale production or low impact production, breweries, maker spaces, food processing, so think people who make jams, jerkies, things like that. Some converted retail, converted office, flex space, converted multifamily, some mixed use, and there'll probably still need to be some utilities in those areas, especially those that are, I think there's a few that are currently existing there now. So we'll want to make sure that they have the ability to stay, like if and when this area does see some new energy. But we are looking at an intensity of probably up to 18 dwelling units per acre, 1 to 2 stories. So we kind of wanted to, because this is new and there's a lot of potential here, we wanted to make sure we create something that was super flexible and can just really keep up with whatever energy comes to this area. All right, highway mixed use. This one didn't really change drastically. I don't think this one really changed at all from your previous plan. I think we may have kind of zhuzhed up the boundaries a little bit. But you're looking at multifamily, vertical and horizontal mixed use, small to medium retail, large retail centers with a grocery anchor, large office, hospitality uses, 12 to 36 units per acre. Pretty in line with what you have right now. All right, almost to the end. Light industrial. So this was what used to be the office industrial designation. I don't think we really did anything drastic here, except just to maybe clarify some of those appropriate development types. And I would say the main difference between this and its counterpart industrial is that industrial actually allows M2, light industrial does not allow M2. But industrial is going to be, I mean, you don't really have a ton of land left for industrial, but again, you know, what land you do have left, you could put in some large office, warehousing, manufacturing, utility. So whatever those zoning districts say you could put in, you could put those in.
Industrial's like CSX, right, where they're intermodal and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
That's industrial.
Yeah, that's an industrial,
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I thought, okay. I know, I'm very technical, Denise, I saw you laughing.
So one thing we made a point to do as part of this process was to make sure that, to take a look at your zoning ordinance and see, okay, are there any spaces where, in the zoning ordinance, where it doesn't align at all with the comprehensive plan strategy? And I would say that's mixed. There are a lot of areas in the zoning ordinance that do support the comprehensive plan vision we've laid out, but there are some areas that don't. And so we definitely made an effort to call out those areas. And there's an appendix actually 2 appendices in the comprehensive plan document. There's one that's called, it's called like best practices, and then there's another one called like aligning the zoning with the vision. And they're both audits, but they look at very different things and make but they do make recommendations about if the city were to make adjustments to its zoning ordinance, these are the things that it does recommend. So this is just the highlights. So if we're talking about aligning the zoning ordinance with our strategy, these are some of the things that would probably need to be done. So number 1, improving standards for sidewalks, cross-access, and bike infrastructure to make sure that we align with any walkability and multimodal goals. Number 2, addressing barriers to housing diversity and fill. Our audit, identified quite a few of those. So if those can be mitigated, then the city will have more access to tools and things like that that can really boost housing diversity and make infill a little bit easier to permit. Number 3, tools like cluster subdivisions or reduced setbacks to better allow for more compact development, stronger urban design standards, broader use categories, and also strengthening standards for landscaping, access management, and aesthetics. Some of the other more broad zoning recommendations, and so what we have a number of consultants at our firm who are brilliant at zoning. This is not my area of expertise at all. But they also looked at the zoning as a whole and said, okay, we have some best practices that we think the city could do to make the zoning ordinance even stronger. So number 1, setting clear, pass, fail, measurable standards. Number 2, reorganizing objective standards into more user-friendly tables with clear headings, a logical layout. Because if you're a developer or you're just an average Joe who wants to like do something with their property, going through the zoning it's a task. And I would say that's true for almost every zoning ordinance you read. It's a little bit of a task to find what you're looking for. But putting things into clear tables, clear headings, reorganizing things so it feels more logical can go a long way. One other thing, bringing all definitions into a definitions article and organizing everything alphabetically. What we found was the definitions were kind of sporadic throughout the document. So if you're looking for a definition for one thing, you're probably not going to find it where you think you're going to find it. Another recommendation, illustrating large amounts of information with clear graphics. I feel like most of us are visual learners, so